Hi, I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Well, today I want to talk about this up-and-coming Mars retrograde. I've been talking about it for a long time, but now it's upon us, and it is a critical Mars retrograde. You see, Mars goes retrograde about every 2 years, so this is not like a rare event by any means. But this particular retrograde comes at a time where it is like 5 days after a solar eclipse. This Mars will turn retrograde on October 30th. And Mars, when a planet goes retrograde, it starts to be the focal point. What is Mars retrograde going to be about? It's going to surface things that we have had impending anger about. Mars's energy, and it's red, it's hot, it's fiery, it rules weapons, it rules war, it rules hostility. Of course, it does rule good things like sports and competition and things of that nature, but you get my drift here. Mars is pretty combative. Let's put it that way. It's competitive, it's combative, and depending on what signs it goes retrograde is going to give the results of what we're going to experience. So every 2 years, we're not in a world war, let's face it. But this Mars retrograde is damaging in many respects to certain countries, and one in being is the United States. Why do I say that? Because where Mars is going to be retrograding. On October 30th, it's going to station, in other words, stand still at 1 degree of Gemini, then it's going to start moving backwards. So Mars will actually be, it's been in the sign of Taurus for a couple of months here, but it's going to be in Gemini for only a month because it starts to move backwards at 1 degree of Gemini. So it's going to travel backwards into the sign of Taurus, starting at 29 degrees Taurus, 28, 27. So Mars will be in Gemini from October 15th through October 30th. That it goes retrograde, but it's going to be in the sign, of Gemini for about a month. It's going to be October 15th till November 13th. And then by November 13th, it's going to be back in the sign of Taurus, where it will remain in Taurus all the way till March 12th. So from November 13th to March 12th, we have Mars traveling backwards in the sign of Taurus. So those of you that have Taurus ascendants or Scorpio ascendants, relationships are going to be a key issue that you're going to want to have to pay attention to. It's very, very important for you guys. But going into the world affairs and what we can expect, because the United States of America has 4 planets in Gemini, and particularly natal Mars sits at 0 degrees of Gemini. This is going to heat up things in the US. So that's going to be the area of the world that's going to get hit hard with this Mars retrograde. Now, another thing, this Mars, while it is in Taurus and these degrees, I've mentioned this so many times before, but those of you that haven't heard me say this, the last times that Mars was retrograde in these particular signs was in 2008, and then again prior to that around 1990, 1991. Now those years were major years of financial crises, tension, recession. That's what we have to look forward to with this Mars going retrograde, particularly in the sign of Taurus. It's going to be in Taurus for the most of the time. And Taurus deals with what? It's the second sign of the zodiac. The second house in astrology deals with money, finances. So this is going to be a very depressing time during this time. Mars goes retrograde every 2 years, but it's got a cycle where it's about every 16 years it will repeat a sign. Sometimes it'll totally skip a sign, but every 2 years, actually, if you'll note, it moves up one sign in the zodiac, and by 16 years it will return back to the same sign, so we can better understand these cycles. What happened before, it usually brings back what we can expect again. Of course, this is no big surprise that we're looking at the economy going down and being a key feature during this Mars retrograde. Another thing, Mars will primarily be retrograde, but it's going to be in the nakshatra, for the most part, called Mrigashira. So between now and December 4th, we're going to have Mars in the nakshatra called Mrigashira. This is a Mars-ruled nakshatra. So this intensifies the prospect of fighting and war and calamity and major problems. Okay, so let me repeat some of these dates and times for you to be very aware. Mars will be retrograde from October 30th till January 12th, okay? But it stays in these signs for such a long time because it's moving up to move backwards, forwards, backwards. It stays in the same sector. So it's mainly going to be in Taurus, but for 1 month, October 15th through November 13th, it will be in the sign of Gemini, early degrees of Gemini. What does that mean? Gemini is all about communication and how we talk and how we think, how we relay information. It's about all communications and learning, our mind, intelligence. This is what is going to be going haywire. Nothing will make sense to us. What's new? But then there's going to be this problem with communications and probably with internet, computers. There will be all sorts of cyber wars. And usually when we're talking about China or Russia, hey, they're notorious for cyber wars with the US. Watch out. That's what's going to be happening. Our computers, data is going to be stolen. Things are going to be going insane with our communication systems, which are computers, and that even controls air traffic flow and things of that nature. Everything's going to be going haywire with air traffic, with communications, with computers, with phones, with cyber war. That's what I see happening. Then we're going to have Mars in Taurus. And the whole time that it's going to be in Taurus, which will be basically, well, it's already been in Taurus for a couple of months, but it's going to be back into, it's going to stay in Taurus from November 13th through March 12th. And that's going to be a long haul for Mars being in that sign, dealing with money and finances. So we're going for a downward cycle. It's going to stay down. It's going to be down. There's no such thing as springing back really quick. But don't worry, it's not going to stay down too long. So I'm thinking by next June, we'll have a big shift. May and June, we'll have a big shift in the economy. But between now and then, don't expect everything to get back to normal. The damage has been done, and there's more damage coming with cyber wars, with all of the things that Mars and Gemini are going to produce. But that has its major effects with the domino effect, with blockchain, with shipping, with connecting people. There's going to be major major issues. You think there's problems getting cars, getting chips, all the things that have been a problem, it's going to get worse. So prepare yourself. You know, this is what astrology's for. We know everything's cyclic. At least we know when things are going to go down, and we also know when things are going to come back and go back up. But this Mars retrograde is crucial. By March 26, Mars will transit, it will be in Gemini, but it will transit into the nakshatra Ardra. And Ardra is, that nakshatra symbol is a teardrop. So there is great sadness due to come in the world due to all the disarray, the things not functioning, and Mars is the planet of anger, war, and violence and weapons. And yes, while Mars goes retrograde, people are going to be striking out. They're going to be extremely dangerous. They're going to be extremely angry. And there will be, in most countries around the world, pretty much, and there already has been, but like some civil wars, people fighting, contention, and that even goes for you personally in your own life. Watch out for the things that are happening in your own personal life in terms of relationships. I already did a video on Mars retrograde and how it's going to affect all 12 signs. You can go back and re-listen to that to see what's going to be happening personally for you during this Mars retrograde according to your ascendant and your moon sign. Remember, I always talk about the sidereal positions. Why wouldn't I talk about where the planets truly are in the heavens? This is so important. This is why I do sidereal astrology. It is real. It's where the planets truly are in accordance to the signs. And one more thing, while Mars is tramping back through the sign of Taurus, there are so many stars in Taurus that are crucial to our well-being of happiness and peace. The Pleiades, there's so many things and people, remember this, that are being falsely accused of things during this time, because that's the whole myth behind the Pleiades, the weeping sisters. They were accused, falsely accused for betraying their husbands, and it was false. So you're going to find a lot of false things that come to the forefront. Yes, the media will have us believe what they want us to, depending on what source you choose to listen to. But remember, not everyone is guilty of everything. There are a lot of people being falsely accused of things around the world. This isn't just the United States. This is everywhere. And look at that also in your own life. Look at what is truth, what is real, what is reality, and focus in on that. Don't be listening to conspiracy theories during this time, because let me tell you, there's going to be tons of them. So I want everyone to get your feet planted firmly on the ground, find balance, find yourself, find trust within the world and trust within yourself, within your own life. And you're going to find that this Mars retrograde is here to teach us something important. And maybe it's just a lot of destruction needs to come about before the clearing will happen. And yes, I am a firm believer the clearing is going to happen. It's going to happen around, well, the end of this year, 2022, and moving on into 2023. Yeah, we'll be stifled from it all, but it's going to be a better world. So with that, I'd like to close. If you would like more information on me, if you would like to study Vedic astrology with me, go to my university website, which is universityofvedicastrology.com. And always remember that I have a new magazine, Joni Patry's Astrology Insights. Go to my new magazine and you will be amazed at all the information and articles that will keep you entertained through all of this Mars retrograde. So go to my website, galacticcenter.org, sign up for my free newsletter, and go and sign up, subscribe to my magazine, where you're going to be able to see all these new writers, metaphysics, spiritual, find out who is the astrologer that's being interviewed this month. Check it all out. galacticcenter.org, plus my university, University of Vedic Astrology.com. Thank you.